Welcome to this episode of Menopause Conversations. I just really am so happy to have this amazing lady on today, the author of the book that I'm constantly showing people, the brilliant Ruth Devlin, who is just, we could just chat for hours, couldn't we, Ruth? We sometimes
we could. Wow, what an introduction.
I know. Well, let me give you a proper introduction. Can you see how close it is to proximity? You can see how often I'm just showing it all the time. And I do think it is a must-have book. If you're an organisation watching this, if you're in HR, if you're a partner supporting a menopauser, honestly, that is money well spent. And you'll laugh a lot. You may even cry a lot. And I know friends where it's made an absolute difference. So please, we'll keep talking about that. But let me introduce the wonderful Ruth Devlin to you. Ruth is actually a registered nurse. She's a clinical educator. She's an author of a book, and she's also the founder of Let's Talk Menopause, a fantastic, resourceful website. You can experience Ruth for yourself because she's an amazing presenter on the topic of menopause and associated topics. So Ruth, tell us a bit about you. How did you get into the menopause space? Where did it all begin?
Well, wow, what an introduction. Thank you very much. Just sitting here thinking, crikey, there we go. I better prove myself now. So thank you very much for having me on to start with.
You're welcome.
So I first got into educating on the menopause, obviously, like most people in this industry do, because of my own experience of perimenopausal symptoms. Having been a registered nurse as well, thought, crikey, at that time, there wasn't that much information out there readily available. There probably was, but it was a little bit more hidden. And so just set myself the task of getting informed, got myself trained up, researched it for a couple of years, and then set up Let's Talk Menopause. And originally set it up to try and give education to everybody, regardless of demographics, and hopefully succeeding in that direction, basically. whether you're in the public, the private, or the third sectors, I try and educate all over the place.
And you are in such high demand, and I think that's because you have that credibility as well. The menopause space is getting very busy right now, isn't it? There's a lot of people in it. I mean, you only have to see the celebrities. I think Gwyneth Paltrow had invested in a menopause company last week. It does worry me a little bit about the financial gain that is potentially being had off the back of menopausers, but tell me your take in terms of where your services are most used right now. What do you see as being the benefit? I mean, because you're very sort of active with the NHS, aren't you? And in terms of talking about alternatives to HRT.
Yeah, first of all, I'd just like to go back to about the information overload, because I think there is a little bit of information overload out there. So I think for anybody who is listening to this, just be really selective as to where you get your information from. That's one thing that I would say to you. So celebrities, we've got this wonderful cohort of celebrities who are all becoming perimenopausal or going through the menopause, which is fantastic for raising awareness and bringing it to the fore, getting it right in front of the public eye. But I think a lot of people are like, oh my goodness, not the menopause again because of that. And then it's also, as you say, what they're wanting to get out of that. Are they just wanting to get lots of publicity themselves, or the book on the back of that? Who knows? I don't know. But I think you have to be an educator and an informant for the right reasons. That's really which is key for me. So always just be careful about where you're getting information. Make sure people are accredited to give information on, say, like HRT and things like that. But then you asked me about complementary therapies and things like that, things to how to take this. It's very important for me if people take a holistic approach to looking after themselves and to how to cope with symptoms. That's really important. So what I mean by that is not just immediately think, right, I've got to go to the GP. I'm finally getting up, the energy and the direction to think that I can't cope on my own. I need to go and just get a pill or something like that, because there's so many other things that you can do for yourself, which will just little tweaks and nudges, which make a significant difference to how you not only experience symptoms, but how you cope with them. And then that manages to give you that little element of control back, which I think is one of the key issues for a lot of people, particularly if they're having the psychological emotional symptoms, is that feeling of loss of control, isn't it? And the feeling that you just don't feel like yourself. You're feeling like, oh gosh, I wish I could wind the clock back 5 years, go back to my old self. I had so much more energy, I had so much more direction, I had, I could multitask for Britain, I wasn't fazed by certain things, I had much more confidence, my memory was there, I don't have this red fog, red mist, whatever you want to call it. Lots of debilitating little symptoms creep in, which really do impact people's quality of life. But there's lots of things that you can do yourself to try and get that element of control back. In addition to, if you do need medication, absolutely. HRT is a very valid option for the majority of people. Medication is any form of medication, as long as it's managed properly. But you can do so much for yourself through lifestyle choices and complementary therapies.
And I love that, because I always advocate that, HRT is not a magic fix. And actually what we need to realise is, if we're stressed out and wired and tired, that is not going to help how effective the HRT is. We've got to get those things really sorted out, haven't we, before we sort of look for these magic cures. And like you, I used to sell HRT the first time around, and the reality was, even then we were saying to people, it's really important that you look at the other metrics around your health. How are you sleeping, how are you eating, are you hydrated enough, are you taking exercise, are you looking after your well-being? So it is all of those things. Can you just describe to me what you mean by holistic? What's the difference in your view between holistic and complementary?
Well, I think looking at the bigger picture, so you've got your complementary therapy, so that's complementing all the other things that you're doing yourself, so your lifestyle choices. So you're wanting to focus, first of all, you're wanting to focus on your lifestyle choices. That's really within your your spectrum of how you can start doing things yourself. So things like your diet, things, as you said, your hydration levels. Are you having too much caffeine? Should you have caffeine in your diet? Is that triggering certain symptoms or elevating your stress levels? What about your alcohol levels? Are you, as you say, exercising enough? Are you managing to take time off? Can you really switch off and rest and relax? So that's part of it. And then you've got these complementary therapies, which are then going to help you. Primarily, all these complementary therapies, what they're trying to do is to help you to reduce your stress levels to start with. So if you can focus on one thing, focus on trying to reduce your stress levels and manage those. Try not to, a lot of people say, oh, that's great, that's really easy for you to say, just lower your stress levels. You've no idea how much stress I'm experiencing, which is being exacerbated by all these other symptoms. But there are coping mechanisms which you can really look into, and things like cognitive behavioural therapy, fantastic resource to look into. You don't have to access a therapist, you don't have to access group therapy. Absolutely, yes, some people can and will want to and will have the funding to do that, but you can teach yourself simple tools, practical tools and strategies through self-help guides, which are out there as well. And I'll give you a list of resources at the end, Samantha, which I recommend. Because there's a self-help guide by Professor Mara Hunter and Dr. Melanie Smith. Dr. Melanie Smith is another speaker who would be fantastic for you to have on if you've not had her on already. And they've written this self-help guide, which is just so easy to read as well. They've demedicalized it. They've made it easy to understand. And by doing that, you realize, well, hang on, okay, maybe I can look into pace breathing. Maybe it's not a load of hocus pocus. Maybe it does actually really help to reduce my stress levels and helps me just to get that element of control back. Just little things like that make a huge difference.
And I'm a really big fan of that. I find there's a certain irony that I was so entrenched in the pharmaceutical industry, and I'm a complete science geek. I love all of that with a biomedical background, but I'm the biggest fan of complementary therapies and meditation. Like last night, I was a bit wired yesterday. I think because after you've been ill, you sort of think you're Superwoman, don't you? So you go full pelt at everything. And I sort of got into bed last night and I thought, oh no, I've overdone it a little bit. So I listened to my Calm app, and it was a guided breath work. So breathing in for 4, holding for 4, breathing out for 4, holding for 4. And actually that was lovely. And I just I just have promised myself that even that, you know, in a busy schedule, it's very easy to go, oh, I'll spend that half an hour doing a bit more work, or I spend that half an hour at the right time in the day, giving myself what I need, which is a bit of a break, and doing some guided meditation. So tell us about CBT. How does CBT work? I know, but for people watching this, how does cognitive behavioural therapy, CBT, work?
Yeah, it's a lot of people think it's all about positive thinking, which it isn't. So that's first the thing to correct.
Okay, tick.
So it's engaging in simple tools like your paced breathing. So lowering that, focusing on your breath, making sure that you subconsciously use that in times when you're becoming stressed. Or say, like, if you've had, it's particularly useful for helping to reduce the intensity and frequency of hot flushes. So you'll hear some people say, if you feel like because a lot of people, if they do experience awful hot flushes, they'll feel this, you know, it's like a volcano erupting for some people, and you think, oh no, here it comes again. By getting stressed and irritated by it, that's going to exacerbate it. It's going to make it much worse, and it's going to last for longer. But so instead, if you breathe your way through that hot flush, that's going to reduce the intensity of it, and it's going to last for a shorter length of time. So literally focus on that breathing technique, but you can just lapse into it subconsciously, and once you've practiced it a little bit. And then the other side of it is breaking down that perpetual cycle of negative thought processes into calming neutral thoughts, which is a very simplistic way of explaining it, but you can break your thought processes down so that you realize how you are actually thinking every time. We'll use the example of the hot flushes again. So you're getting annoyed, you're having the hot flush, that gets exacerbated by the fact that you're irritated by that, which makes it worse, which means that you have a longer and hotter hot flush. So if you break all that process down and think, right, okay, I'm not going to let this get the better of me. I know if I do my paced breathing, I'm still going to have it. It's not going to cure it, but I can get through this in a little bit of an easier fashion. And then all of a sudden you've distracted your brain from having, you know, switching off that, you know, thermometer basically, which is all awry because of your hormones being imbalanced. And you've distracted yourself from exacerbating the situation as well.
Yes, it's massive. Well, it's like I often say with my clients when I'm in my performance coach mode. It's about, you know, we're almost stating the bleeding obvious, you know, because we're so automated, aren't we, in how we just do stuff every day. The hard part sometimes is actually looking in on ourselves and going, actually, what am I doing here step by step?
Yeah.
You know, and actually, as you say, it's sort of regaining some of that control to go, okay, I am frustrated about it, but I'm going to turn that frustration into some element of positivity by giving myself what I need right now, which is just to bring it all down a notch or two. So you know, I think that's the reality. And again, I'm seeing a lot of technology assisting people. I think there's something called the Evia app, which helps women. Evia app, which is all about breathing to control hot flushes. So, you know, so similar sorts of principles. But I think that's it. I think when you haven't got the wherewithal, sometimes the technology can help, but sometimes it can be a hindrance as well. So it's just good if we know that these things we can change them, we can affect them ourselves. But like we both said, the stress thing is really important. So to know your stress, know what your triggers are, know what your reactions to those triggers are, can be hugely helpful, can't they? So, I mean,
definitely.
Sorry.
No, I was just going to say, and make that conscious decision to do something about it, because a lot of people will go, oh, there it goes again. And then they're so mixed up in their lives, or they're not in the right place. Absolutely. You know, if you've got reduced energy levels and you really are being impacted by your symptoms, it's quite hard, isn't it, to get yourself thinking out of the box a bit and actually doing something for yourself. But it is definitely making those little steps and making that conscious decision to do something for yourself.
And did I mention that you're the author of an amazing book? In your book, that's what I think it's really good at. When my husband read it, he said, what I really liked about Ruth's book was it gave you a window into what it is like for your partner. So like you just said just then, if you can't access it yourself, your partner or the people around you supporting you might be in a position to recognize, do you know what, now might be a really great time to offer to run you a bath. now might be a really great time to offer, you know, do you want me to light some candles, essential oils, anything like that? You know, do you want me to go, shall I cook the dinner tonight? Because actually maybe you'd like to just sit down. I think that that's where this is excellent also, because it gives others the capacity to help you. It's not just all down to you helping yourself.
Ah, that's great. That's grand. I'm glad you got that from it, because that was one of the aims. But it is, and it's not to be overbearing as somebody trying to support. You know, you can't do everything for somebody, but if you can just do tiny little things which make somebody's life easier, and then help them to then think, okay, you know, I mean, don't know, you know, some people don't like cycling, some people don't like running. Well, that's absolutely fine, but you could maybe say, right, why don't we hire some electric bikes and go for a 10-mile cycle? You know, something like that. Just thinking out of the box, you know, doing something out of the ordinary, especially as it's coming out to Easter weekend, that you wouldn't normally do, but that just might be a window of opportunity to think, right, let's just knock this on the head and do something a little bit different, which will help.
Exactly. And I always remember my husband saying to me, you know, I had no idea that you didn't really like doing, you know, I love cooking. I mean, if I wasn't doing this or menopause coach, I'd probably have my own little coffee shop somewhere. I'd only have 3 customers a day though, because I'd want to chat to them for hours. But
we could have run one together. I did actually try working at a coffee once, and I thought, oh no, I would be hopeless.
I would be hopeless. I'd probably sit down and, oh, you don't mind if I join you, and I could have a coffee and some cake with you.
Go and make it yourself, free for all, it's fine.
take the money, it's fine. In fact, don't pay any money, it's fine. Exactly. You know, the reality is, unless we say what we're finding stressful, there is a natural assumption that, okay, unless you're saying it's a problem, it's not a problem type thing. And I think menopause presents a lovely opportunity to improve relationships, improve communication, do it differently, rediscover, you know, new interests and things like that. I mean, in your own situation, Ruth, I mean, what were the lowest points and what were the highest points or the most insightful points about your own situation? Are you able to share anything?
Yes, I can share. I don't normally, because I think it's awfully dull sometimes listening to my
but actually it might be helpful to someone else. It might be I'm happy to share I'll show you yours if you show me yours type thing.
Okay, my real lowest point, I can tell you, I don't think I've ever told somebody. We were having friends over for a weekend. Kids was quite small. They were sort of like early teenager. Sort of like 12. I've got 3 kids, everybody. So they were maybe 12, 11 and 8. And we were getting, you know, it's chaos, isn't there? And you're getting a whole family coming to visit, lots to do, flying around, both working full time, managing to do this, that and the other. I've got the calmest husband on the planet, thank God. So he was calmly having lunch and chatting to one of my sons. And I was busy there in the shower going, oh, I haven't done this, I haven't done that, I better not doing this, I better not doing that. And you know, it's that classic irrational behavior of overthinking things, of just your hormones going absolutely potty within the perimenopausal stage, just thinking, you know, just not keeping calm. So in the end, I flew myself out of the shower, wrapped myself in a towel, dashed down the hall going, I'm chatting away going, I haven't done this, haven't done that. Because I was still wrapped in the shower, I unceremoniously slid on into fell over and slid into the kitchen. Luckily the towel staying intact. My husband and son calmly looked up at the table and me just going and just, you know, and then I just realized they weren't reacting and I just quietly left. And I thought that was the moment I thought I have to take things in hand and do something about this, because I thought that was just a ridiculous behavior. Because it's that moment of, you know, because your estrogen levels don't just steadily decline, they fluctuate. And so 1 minute you're absolutely fine, and then the next minute you feel like you're just like a volcano about to erupt for no reason at all. Completely irrational behavior like that. Only happened once. And but I sort of potted back to the shower going, right, that's really not on. That
note to self.
Note to self, don't do that again. There we go. That was my lowest point.
And what's the biggest revelation you've had?
The biggest revelation?
Yeah, or the thing you learned, that you learned about yourself. Because I think there is a definite positive aspect to this second spring, as they call it in Japan. You know, this is our second spring. You know, what have you discovered about yourself? You know, you have a successful business, you know, what have you learned about yourself?
What have I learned about myself? I think just learning coping mechanisms and knowing that you do have that element of control back by very, very simple methods, definitely. And taking that holistic approach, really just, you know, and I'm just being calm. And I'm quite an effusive person, quite an energetic person, but I can maintain that calmness as well when needed. And, you know, just have patience as well, which I never used to have either. But I think it's that there's a wonderful quote, which I first heard when Dr. Heather Curry was doing a presentation, and it's from one of the past Indian menopause conferences, and it's, in menopause we're not aging, we're ripening to perfection. Isn't that wonderful? I mean, obviously we're all
lovely.
aging, but it's, to me, that sort of sums up how I would like people to see the menopause, because it's seen in a very negative light. We have this word taboo banded around. It's not a taboo topic. We all know about it. We're all talking about it. A lot of people bury their heads about it because they don't want to think that they're at that time of their life. You know, a lot of people, you know, when you're 15, 16, you're not sort of looking into having babies and thinking about, right, okay, how am I going to manage my breastfeeding when I have children? It's getting to that stage of life and then getting informed, isn't it? Yes, it'd be great if we were more informed at a younger age. I absolutely agree with that and believe with that. So the more informed we are, the younger. Definitely much better, particularly in the pelvic health area, definitely, you know.
Yes.
But it's seeing everything in a little bit more of a positive context and thinking, right, okay, I do have an element of control over some of these symptoms. I can make a difference, and you know, seeing it more like that. Really.
Yeah, that's so, and it's so positive. I mean, you've got your work is flourishing, and you're engaging, you're enlightening so many people and educating so many people that need to be educated. You know, that's a testament to your menopause transition, you know. And I would like women and men to support this transition, so that, you know, anything is possible. You know, we're not finished. Not by any stretch of the imagination. We're not finished. No. And, you know, there is no stereotypical face to menopause. You know, we come in all different shapes and sizes, all different colours, creeds, religions, you know. And the reality is, it's really important that we just accept it. So we need to get on with the business of this, you know. Let's just accept it as normal, and just allow people to embrace it, you know, in whatever they want it to be, because not everyone's transition will be replicated throughout society. People want different things from this third stage of life, don't they? They really do. They do want different things, but with your help, I think they're going to get what they want out of it a lot quicker. So what's coming up for you? And let's talk menopause in the next.
Okay, well, I'm continuing to educate all over the place, which is great. So I'm fortunate enough that lots of organisations get hold of me. So just get in touch. That's fine. We're doing another webinar, follow-up webinar from one we did in October. Okay. So I normally contribute to other people's webinars, and I thought, you know, I just want to organise a big one myself. So I did one day after World Menopause Day yesterday, which was fabby. We got lots of all my favourite speakers, well, not all my favourite speakers, because we've got some coming on this one.
Yes.
So we started off with complementary therapies last time, focused on that side of things last time, because I know everybody wants to know about HRT. And this time we're focusing on bone health, nutrition, and an HRT. So that's coming up on the 20th of April, and you can access that through Eventbrite. So if anybody wants to attend that, more than welcome.
Brilliant.
To see you online. So we're looking forward to that. It's very informal as well. I mean, I try and make it as easy to understand and listen to as possible, so that people aren't just speaking at you. You know, you just can you feel like you're part of a group listening. So
are we saying that would be relevant to anybody who has an interest, or is that more for professionals, Ruth?
Oh no, relevant for anybody, general public, you know, healthcare professionals, anybody. On the last one, we had such a variety of different professions on. Yeah, throughout.
Fabulous. So that's the 20th of April.
20th of April, 6 o'clock. You'll find it on Eventbrite. But I try and make the information so that it is accessible for everybody. You know, I think absolutely there is lots of people will say there's no education going on for healthcare professionals. Well, there's lots of education going on, because I've been involved in it, so I know there is. It's just getting it, finding the time to do it, managing for the healthcare professionals to actually access it, because they're all incredibly busy, of course, with the backlog work from COVID, unfortunately, as well. They're all snowed under, but you put any webinar on for the menopause and you'll be really well subscribed for it, particularly within the NHS. They really want to know.
Definitely. And I found that last week when I went, because as people know, I wasn't very well. And as I said to you offline, I went to a clinic. Well, they just couldn't wait to hear about it. And they were asking, because their hands are a bit tied in terms of they can't prescribe HRT, they can't recommend treatments and things, but they want to know, and just said, we want to know more about this stuff. So I have offered to put on something for them just as their team, because actually, you can't fight against passion. If there's passion there already, it's an easy win, isn't it? If there's passion and interest, it's brilliant. So yes, and for people watching, if you are at all interested, please go onto Ruth's website, Let's Talk Menopause. You can get all her contact details there. But what is the best way for people to get in touch with you?
Just email me, ruth@letstalkmenopause.co.uk. That's on the website. So very easy to get in touch with me.
And who do you admire? Who really motivates you? Is there anyone in your world? I used to ask this question all the time, and I stopped asking it. Is anyone that sort of really just keeps you going? Where you draw energy from, or that helps
probably
you?
Well, close to home, probably my husband and my kids. I know that sounds a bit soppy, but genuinely, they are some of the most patient, kindest people and interact. But I just love their conversation and their banter, and I think that's one thing maybe I've done for kids, is just make sure that they can have a good chat about things. So and my friends and family, definitely, anybody who is easy to talk to and interesting. But from a professional basis, there's lots of menopause educators out there who really are good, and I think it's really important when you're in this business to not think that you've got the answers to everything, and to make sure that you collaborate. So if there's one person and they're trying to do it on their own, I'd be thinking, who are you collaborating with? Because we all have our limitations, so yes. I will definitely choose very carefully who I collaborate with and draw from them, because there are specialists within their fields. They really know what they're talking about, and it's gaining the insight from them, which is really important to me, and not trying to do it all on your own. Definitely.
And I think that comes back to be mindful and intuitive about where you get your information from, because not everybody has the credence, really, that backing, that understanding, that knowledge, and proven, I would say, to be able to advise you. So think very, very carefully about, and get recommendations, and people who you've seen or heard have spoken, and people like Ruth are amazing and have that full backing. So Ruth, I could talk to you forever, and we do anyway, so it's fine. But for now, thank you so much for your input today to this session. And we will urge people, get the book. And it's been newly updated because it's got the CBT stuff in it, hasn't it?
It has, yes. Yeah, because I did the CBT course with the British Menopause Society quite a few years ago now. So wanted to get that chapter in there. So thank you very much.
You're very welcome. And so until next time, thank you so much, Ruth Devlin.
Okay, thanks, Malcolm.